this week that he will move to lift sanctions on Syria and normalize relations with the new government. Egg prices have declined for the first time since October. According to the Consumer Price Index, the average price for a dozen grade A eggs fell to $5.12 last month. Even so, egg prices remain near record high as a bird flu outbreak continues. Home insurance in California will soon cost more. The state's top insurance regulator says State Farm can start raising premiums by 17% to help the company rebuild its capital following the Los Angeles wildfires. This is SRN News.
I'm Brant, and her name is Sherry.
Hello.
She's a friend of mine whom we were just praying for because of a surgery she just went through.
Yes, and I am very happy about something you actually talk about all the time, which is
MediShare.
That is right.
Yeah. So what was your experience like with MediShare and the healthcare bills?
Honestly, Brant, seamless. And what a blessing that is when you're already nervous about a health issue, which I was.
Yeah.
Members shared my expenses. There were zero problems. And let me tell you, having people pray with you when you call in with your need, that is just...
It is refreshing.
Yes, that's what it is.
What I keep telling people love MediShare, and they love saving tons of money, too. The typical family can save $500 a month.
I am very thankful for MediShare. It is so different, and I mean different in a very, very good way.
It is good different. Call now. They're easy to talk to, and you can get a price within 2 minutes. Call 844-45-BIBLE. That's 844-45-BIBLE, 844-45-BIBLE.
Here is the latest news and information that impacts you. I'm Derek White. Goodland native Mike Zimmerman is leading the way for aspiring engineers at Fort Hays Tech Northwest. A former design engineer, Zimmerman now teaches in the college's expanding engineering technology program. With hands-on training in mechanical and civil design, students graduate job-ready. Some even landing roles with major firms like Black & Veatch. Zimmerman says, "It's great to see our students choosing between job offers instead of worrying about finding one." May 16th, the Golden Plains High School class of 2028 is hosting a movie night fundraiser at the football field. Supper runs from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. with $5 meals featuring hamburgers and hot dogs. Admission is $5 per person or $20 per carload. Mufasa starts at 8:45, followed by Twisters at 10:45. Concessions will be available all night, but no outside food and drinks allowed. For more information on this and other stories, visit nwksradio.net.
Rocket 102.5.
Another warm and windy day today with highs in the low 80s. Southeast winds this morning at 10 to 15 miles per hour, becoming west-northwest at 15 to 30, and gusts up to 40 later this afternoon. Cold front will move through this evening, bringing gusty 40 to 50 mile an hour wind shifts to the north, and a chance for showers and thunderstorms, possibly severe along and north of highways 34 and 36. Tonight we'll have clearing skies, west-northwest winds lightning to 10 to 20 miles per hour, lows in the lower 40s. And tomorrow and Friday it'll be cooler and breezy, highs in the mid-70s. Northerly winds will be gusting up to 20 to 40 miles per hour at times, and lows in the 40 to 45 degree range. Saturday through Monday will be warmer with highs in the upper 70s to mid-80s. Breezy south winds and dry conditions are expected until late Sunday and Monday, with increasing chances for showers and storms, especially later in the day Monday and Tuesday with a strong cold front passing through. Tuesday's high will only be in the low 70s. This meteorologist Chris Romick in the NWKS Radio Weather Center.
Wake up, sports fans. It's time to kickstart your day with the Morning Blitz and me, Ross Volkmer. Get the latest updates, in-depth analysis, and a few hot takes on everything from the preps to the pros. Whether you're driving to work or just getting your day started, I've got you covered with all the local sports talk you crave. So don't miss out. Tune in every weekday morning starting at 7 Mountain, 8 Central Time on Goodland's Rocket 102.5 to the Morning Blitz and join the conversation. Miss the show? No problem. Download and subscribe anywhere you get your podcasts.
Looking for insurance that actually puts you first? At the insurance agency in downtown Goodland, we're independent, which means we work for you. Whether it's auto, home, crop, or business, we shop top carriers to get you the best coverage at the best price. No pushy sales, just honest advice from people who live right here in your community. Give us a call today at 785-899-5011 or stop by 1020 Main in Goodland, and let's get you covered. The insurance agency. Insurance the way it should be.
Spring is in full swing at Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware. Get your lawn and garden looking their best with Ultimate Fertilizer and gear up with Eco blowers and mowers for the season ahead. Tackling a project, they've got a surplus of quality lumber ready for all your building needs. And when the work's done, fire up the fun with their wide selection of grills, smokers, and griddles from Traeger, Weber, and Blackstone. Stop by Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware in Goodland and Colby, your one-stop shop for spring projects, big and small.
Farmers State Bank of Oakley proudly congratulates the class of 2025. Your dedication and achievements have brought you to this moment, and we wish you all the best in your next chapter. Whatever your next step, remember, we're here to help with all of your financial needs along the way. Farmers State Bank of Oakley, member FDIC.
Hey, Goodland, toss those caps in the air. The class of 2025 has officially graduated. From first stage hitters to final exams, you've made memories, conquered challenges, and maybe even learned a thing or two along the way. Now it's time to celebrate you, the future leaders, dreamers, and TikTok legends of tomorrow. Big time congrats from all of us and these awesome local sponsors.
Outdoor Bank, Moss Barger Family Farms, FNB Bank, and Edward Jones Financial Advisor Chris Yost.
Stay bold, stay proud, stay Cowboys. Let the good times roll. Class of 2025.
Big savings are waiting at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. Get a 25 Chevy Silverado 1500 with 0.9% APR for 60 months plus $3,500 trade-in cash. Or choose a 25 GMC Sierra 1500 Turbo Max, 0.9% APR, or up to over $7,800 off if you own a GMC or Buick. And don't forget, military members get an extra $750 cash allowance. It's happening now at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. Online at hurlchev.com.
Walt and Linda Linthicum at L&W Insurance remind you a day without insurance coverage is like a day without sunshine. L&W covers you for the unexpected every day, every hour. Come in soon for an insurance policy review. You know, many changes are made from year to year, and now's the time to get that policy review taken care of. Take the trouble out of driving with quality insurance coverage from L&W Insurance, Goodland, and St. Francis.
You ready? 1, 2, 3, 4! It's the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
If you want to win in football, it all starts up front. Mass kicks ass.
The region's only local sports talk.
Listen to this guy. He knows what he's talking about.
Broadcasting on Goodland's Rocket 102.5. Simulcasting on Goodland's 730 Gold KLOE.
Guys everywhere.
Discussing it all from the preps.
Showtime for the Lady Eagles.
To the pros.
McKinnon is in at running back. First down and goal to go. Play action fake. Right side throw. Touchdown. Kansas City.
The Blitz is presented by Hurl Chevrolet GMC, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware, and FNB Bank, as well as the Insurance Agency, Farmer State Bank in Oakley, the Cowboy Corner Express, and Equity Bank of Hoxie, Quinter, and Grinnell.
Let's go to work.
So Goodland with 7 runs on 7 hits. And the biggest thing, no errors. That ball is driven into center field. It's down and a roll up into the fence. Gonzalez is going to head into second base with a stand-up double to get things cooking here for the Cowgirls in the bottom of the 5th. Another double for Destiny Gonzalez. No balls, 2 strikes. Runner at first. Cowgirls up 4-2. The pitch from Alicure. Chopped in the ground. Carmichael up with it at third. The throw over to first in time. And the Cowgirls get a sweep of Cimarron Ingalls here on Senior Day.
To current batting average, and he'll line it up the middle. Base hit into center field beyond the reach of Simeon. Home comes Jordan Beck. And Hunter Goodman delivers again, RBI number 25.
5 to shoot. Turner, he puts it down. Miles Turner with the biggest shot of his season. And Indiana is up 9, and they can taste it.
Good Wednesday morning, everybody. Off and rolling here on May the 14th. Glad you could join us on Goodland's Rocket 102.5, maybe NWKSradio.net, or maybe you're watching on the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream on X, Facebook, or YouTube. We don't care. Thank you so much for tuning in on this beautiful Wednesday morning. I know after some very fog, I didn't see the fog this morning, honestly, but Raleigh said it was really foggy this morning and really foggy early this morning, but that is broken and the sun is out and it's a nice, cool, sunny 56 to get our day going. We'll be temperatures into the low 80s today, a little cooler than yesterday. Then we'll see a cool down again tomorrow and some temperatures in the 70s for the rest of the week. But glad you're with us here on this Wednesday morning. We got a full show ahead. We're going to have a sports smorgasbord, as I like to call it, with our good friend Riley Gates from On3. We'll get some thoughts on the NHL playoffs and the PGA Championship getting set here for the PGA getting set to get going tomorrow. And so we'll get his thoughts on the second major of 2025 as Riley Gates will join us coming up here on the program in about 20 to 25 minutes or so from now. We will get into the biggest news of sports yesterday a little bit later on with Pete Rose and others that were ineligible for the Hall of Fame have now been deemed eligible to be elected into the Hall of Fame. That does not mean they are in the Hall, but they have been elected to be they have been deemed eligible to be voted on to be in the Hall of Fame now. That was the news of the day yesterday as the hit king Pete Rose, Shoeless Joe Jackson, others are now eligible to be in the Hall of Fame. And the big time story and kind of what that means going forward for Major League Baseball and other stuff, and just kind of all the interesting storylines. We'll touch on that in our third segment, and some interesting stats regarding Big 12 basketball in the walk-off. We will get to that. Some very fascinating stats on Big 12 stuff there. We will get to as well here in just a little bit. Saw ESPN put out their ranking of the offseason for every Power 4 college football team. So they did it by conference. And so how does the Big 12 stack up? Where does Kansas State? Where does KU come in? Where does Nebraska come in the Big 10? Where does Colorado come in? We'll tell you where that all happened with that article put out and get the thoughts of those who did the research on the Big 12 and the rest of college football's Power 4 conferences when it comes to who had the best off season, if you want to call it that, before we get into summer workouts. And then, of course, before we know it, it'll be camp time here in late June, late June, or be about mid-July. Heck, for Kansas State, it'll be right around that time because they got to get ready to go play the first game of the year over in Ireland. So we'll get to that here in just a little bit as well. I want to kick off the show with a little bit of local sports. First and foremost, yesterday, a big-time sweep for the Goodland Cowgirls softball team wrapped up the regular season with a senior day sweep of Cimarron Ingalls here in Goodland. Cowgirls sweeping the Blue Jays for the first time since 2018 and just for the second time in the history of the series. The Cowgirls get a sweep of Cimarron Ingalls. Cowgirls had only won 3 times in the course of the 11 meetings. Is that right? Is my math right there? Yeah, no. Yes, in their 11 meetings, they had only won 3 times in that series, and they get it done yesterday. They win 9-0 in game 1, had a big 7-run second inning, and then came around from behind to win game number 2, 4-2. With a victory there. They were up 1-0. Cimarron Ingalls got a big 2 RBI double from Ashlyn Janda, and then they were able to, so they get a 2-1 lead. Goodland would tie the game back up right back in the bottom of the bottom half of that inning. And then in the bottom of the 5th, get 2 runs on. Natalie Cure gets on. Allie Cure hits a double. They have 2 runners in scoring position with nobody out. Then there all of a sudden is 2 outs. And looking like they might not get these runs in to break the tie. And a pass ball leaks away from Cimarron Ingalls' catcher, and both runs come in and score, and Cowgirls hold on for a 4-2 win and a sweep of the Blue Jays here at home. So with the win, the Cowgirls get back to 500. They're 10-10 overall. They finish league play at 8-4. That's going to help them in the Acacia standings, move them up, one would believe, into the 4 spot, which doesn't impact who they play in the first round of the postseason. They were going to play, it looks like they're going to play Lakin, even if they won or lost in that series. That show, barring just some crazy things that happen, it should be Lakin and Goodland facing off in the 4-5 matchup of the bracket. And really, when you look at the bracket, it sets up really, really well, really for both Goodland and for Colby. If you're being completely honest with yourself, it sets up really well. You know, if you look at it, I know the brackets have not been released. I think they're going to be released here coming up a little bit later today. But if you look at those softball regional brackets, it really sets up well. First and foremost for Goodland, like I said, they get the 4-5 game against Lakin. That's a team they split with, but they proved that they could beat them pretty handily in the one time they did beat them. So it's a winnable game there. Then you're going to face the number 1 seed Southwestern Heights, who has had a great season. I think they're 17-3. They've been a phenomenal, and I'm sure they're a solid team. And this is no offense to Southwestern Heights. I'm not trying to take anything away from them. They're a good team, but I would say the level of competition that they have played throughout the season does probably not match what Goodland or Colby or even Cimarron Ingalls has played all season long. And so more than likely, they're not as battle tested. And so I think it sets up for Goodland to possibly pull an upset there of Southwestern Heights. And then that puts you in the championship game where you will play probably the winner of Colby and Cimarron Ingalls. And you look at Colby, they've got a pretty good first. They're the winners of the GWAC, because the Cowgirls swept Cimarron Ingalls. That allowed the Lady Eagles to win a GWAC title in softball. So congratulations to them and their friend and our friend of the program and Coach Tucker Branham on capturing a GWAC title this year, mostly because of Goodland getting a sweep. I think even if Cimarron won one of those games, yes, that would have tied them at the top with Colby, but they had the tiebreaker because they swept Colby earlier this year. So Goodland gets the sweep, allows Colby to capture a GWAC title. And like I said, the way things are looking, and this is just my personal opinion, the way things are looking, I think you could possibly see a Colby-Goodland championship game here in Goodland next week sometime in the regional finals to send someone to state. I feel that way. We'll see. Cimarron Ingalls has got a great pitcher and a great player in Quinn Campbell. And they no doubt have got some other really good pieces, but the Cowgirls do such a great job of shutting them down. That doesn't mean that could happen again. And I know they swept Colby, so they've proven that they can beat some really good teams. But I know it's just my gut tells me that there could be a Goodland-Colby final coming up here. I think probably a week from today or two, or I forget when the championship. It's either Wednesday, Thursday, or Tuesday, one of the two, for the championship of softball. So anyway, exciting day yesterday at Ray Dye Field here in Goodland as the Cowgirls sweep Cimarron Ingalls first time since 2018, 9-0-4-2. They get the win, back to 10-10 overall. Been a great finish to the season for the Cowgirls. After a rocky start, they were 1-7, really struggled. And you look back at that series, I do have some audio from Tess Smith, head coach for the Cowgirls, after the series sweep. And the first thing we're talking about was the most complete series that the Cowgirls had played to this point in time in the season.
Hey, we played above and beyond. Probably, like I said before we got on this right here, probably our best series all season.
I think it was no doubt the most complete.
It's the most complete. And I feel like we took care of the ball defensively. We hit the ball. We were aggressive on the base paths. I mean, all the little things that, you asked me key to the games, those came true today.
Yeah, that's a fact. Tess Smith, we got to do this, this, and this. They did this, this, and this, and they got the win. She was right on with her keys to the series for sure. And just kind of her stacking on top of what I thought, I think there's real excitement for, like I mentioned, Colby and for Goodland next week with how the bracket kind of shapes out. And Tess Smith feels that way for her team as well.
It's got to just send you over the moon, right? I mean, it's got to get you goosebumps and really excited for next week. And if it doesn't, then I don't know that you're really got a heartbeat and you're really playing and enjoying the game. I mean, you're just sitting in a perfect spot in the way we're hitting the ball. You just got to love our chances to put a nice little run together on Monday and hopefully see our day to Wednesday.
Yeah, so there you go. A nice day yesterday for Goodland Cowgirls softball. Send the 4 seniors out with a sweep of Cimarron Ingalls. So there you go. There's the really only local sports that happened yesterday. There was no other really the local sports that happened yesterday. I did get some news this morning from Fort Hays Tech Northwest Athletic Director Rory Kling. As of course the news came down on the show that Chris Gio was going to be stepping aside a month or so ago. He said he would be stepping aside from the program after leading them to great success over the last couple of years. For Fort Hays Tech Northwest Wrestling, they have hired a new coach, apparently. Tyler Bell is going to be the new head coach. That was the news this morning that Rory sent to me. So Tyler Bell going to be he says from York University. And if I am not mistaken, York University is, just 40 miles up the road from where yours truly grew up. So he's coming from the same area that I am from. So welcome Tyler Bell to Northwest Kansas, the new head coach for the Fort Hays Tech Northwest Tiger Wrestling team. So there you go, an update on the local sports side of things. Regionally, real quick before we get to our topic of the day. Actually, no, we'll save that for later. I want to get into the topic of the day right now. So last night I was cruising the webs trying to think of, what we're going to talk about tomorrow. And I came across this article on ESPN talking about ESPN put out the ranking of off-season for every Power 4 college football team. And so the ESPN college football reporters, led by Max Olson, Adam Rittenberg, Bill Connolly, Eli Letterman, they went out and did a ranking all the teams and just kind of see, and based it upon focusing on 3 key areas. This is how they did this ranking system. Retention of key non-draft eligible players. So the guys that they held on to that were that were not eligible for the draft and did not want to leave the program due to the portal. So that was big. They also focused on retention of key coaches or staff upgrades was a big one there. So once again, players you kept or lost, coaches you kept or lost, and player additions, primarily through the transfer portal, but also high school recruits. Those were the 3 things that they put into their ranking system here and how it all went out. So the Big 12, starting with Kansas State, they were the highest ranked team from our region. They come in at number 5. Number 5 is where they sit here behind the number 1 team, which was Texas Tech, with all that money, bringing in a great transfer portal class and all the money that they spent on their facilities. They're number 1. Arizona State sits at number 2 after winning the Big 12 title in their first year last year. Baylor, after a really tough year, had a great bounce back offseason. Apparently, they're 3, and Iowa State is 4. But Kansas State finds itself at 5. Once again, they lost DJ Giddens and Brendan Mott and Jacob Parrish. Those guys have all departed, but they did get some great key additions through the portal. And heck, even Goodland's own Lincoln Cure gets brought up in this article as he's one of the top incoming recruits for this class. But the takeaway, this is Bill Connolly's takeaway on the overall thought of Kansas State. So this first and foremost, the best coaching move for Kansas State was they were able to name Matt Wells as the co-offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach for the primary role. So that was, they're saying, was their best move that they made this season. What went wrong for Kansas State in the offseason? The primary frustration is that he and his staff had to cut down the walk-on roster like other teams from this region did to get to 105. That was probably the toughest thing, and they, like a lot of other teams like Nebraska and others, are so big on developing players through the walk-on program, and has been a key success for them for long-term success, or a key point for them for long-term success, I should say. That's what went wrong for them. They had to cut that roster down, and that was very, very difficult for them. Now, what went right for them is that they fought off any efforts with teams possibly coming to take Avery Johnson, only lost 2 scholarship players during the December transfer window, and ended up signing at another Power 4 program, I should say. So, and they brought in some other really great recruits. So you look at Kansas State, they lost some coaches, yes, but they were able to replace it with a guy who has a lot of experience in Matt Wells. That's the big thing there. If you're thinking about the only thing that really went wrong was the fact that you had to cut your walk-on program down. I mean, there could be a lot worse. You could have a lot of guys leave for the portal. It didn't happen. They went out and did a good job in the portal class, bringing in some better weapons on the outside. Caleb Medford coming in from New Mexico, Jaron Tibbs from Purdue. So they've done that. And, of course, they also, of course, got Lincoln Cure, the number 66 recruit in the ESPN 300, and the highest-rated program, or highest-rated signee in program history. So a lot of things went right for Kansas State this year, which leads to Bill Connolly's final take that Avery Johnson will have his 3rd offensive coordinator in 3 seasons. It's not exactly suboptimal, but K-State will still boast excellent continuity in most units. And Kleiman was aggressive with portal additions on both the offensive line and in the secondary, enough so that the Wildcats have a top 15 returning production levels. And that's why Kansas State sits at number 5, the highest ranked regional team in the Big 12. Colorado comes in at number 10. The biggest thing that stands out here is that they went out and have to get new quarterbacks. They lost, of course, Shadur Sanders, but they bring in Caden Slater from Liberty, and they also, of course, got their top recruit Julian Lewis to come in. And between those two guys, maybe no one in the conference has a higher upside at quarterback than Colorado. Now, here's the thing to watch. I'm actually kind of impressed, to be honest with you, that they went through spring. Those two guys battled it out, and one guy really didn't have kind of a leap ahead of the other, and one guy didn't jump in the portal leap. I'm surprised that didn't happen. More than likely, depending on how this, I don't know, we'll see how the season goes. But if one guy establishes himself, one of those two guys is going to be gone probably at the end of this 25 season. I would assume so. But anyway, that's probably the biggest bright spot, according to Bill Connolly, is that they've got great quarterback depth. There does Colorado. But the Buffaloes lost 17 starters, 9 from a pretty good offense. And head coach Prime, he did not choose to load up as much in the portal. That makes this feel like a transition year of sorts with a lot more younger players. So didn't go heavy in the portal. Got a brand new quarterback. There's a lot of question marks to be answered for Colorado, but they're still at number 10, which is still higher than Kansas, which finds itself at number 14. So second to last is the Kansas Jayhawks. And, just kind of, a new offensive coordinator for the third time in 3 years. Jim Zabrowski. And of course, they lose him and they bring back in Matt Lubick to be the offensive coordinator and help with that as well. So, they've got a new offensive coordinator coming through. The thing that went wrong for Kansas this year, according to ESPN and Bill Connolly, is the fact that the Jayhawks lost only 9 scholarship players to the portal, even with Leipold making key changes to staff, shows there's still a high level of buy-in to build on. They've got new offensive and defensive coordinators kind of to put their own spin on things. But this offseason is all about getting back to playing with consistency after the up and downs of 2025. I don't think I say anything really went wrong during the offseason for Kansas, but considering the up and down inconsistency of that season made it more difficult. But Connolly's take here on this was that KU wasn't as bad as its record last season, but now Leipold must engineer a bounce back with 2 new coordinators and about 16 new starters. He wasn't shy about using the portal to fill holes and could find the answers he needs. But in a conference loaded with continuity, the Jayhawks have less than most. And so their biggest thing, according to ESPN, is that there's just not enough continuity amongst the staff and the players to possibly have the success that they need. I still think you're going to see a bounce back season for Kansas. I'd be surprised. Lance Leipold is way too good of a coach to not have a bounce back year. Now, I'm not saying they're going to go out there and win double-digit games, but I think they can no doubt get to a bowl easily, getting to 7 or 8 wins. I think they can do that, even though. So I was surprised. It was probably my biggest surprise of looking at these rankings was that Kansas was all the way down at 14, behind West Virginia, who's got a new head coach this year, behind Houston, who hasn't looked great. BYU is considered to be one of the top teams in the Big 12 this year. They only had the 9th best offseason, so that was a little bit of a surprise as well, according to ESPN. And then for the Nebraska Cornhuskers and our fans out in the area here, they were actually picked to be number 6 in the best offseason rankings of the Big 10, number 6. And honestly, just behind Ohio State and ahead of USC, a pretty good spot, I would say. Considering all the change, Nebraska had a ton of changes this year. They went to a new offensive coordinator. They've officially, I should say, they kind of went to the middle of the season, which is random and weird, but they did it. They have officially a new offensive coordinator for a full year here, more than likely, and Dana Holgerson. They had to get a new defensive coordinator, John Butler, because Tony White went to Florida State, which, reading this article, they talk about White's departure hurts Nebraska as a top 20 defense, and he left for a much shakier situation at Florida State. But you have John Butler, and of course, with the help of Phil Snow, who's coming in to help Matt Rule as well, as kind of a defensive guru guy. I still think there's probably going to be a drop-off for Nebraska football defensively when you lose that kind of experience and size in the trenches on the defensive line. And even though you've got some very talented young pieces, it's always better to be old in the trenches. And Nebraska is going to be young. I think that's going to be the one area that's really going to hamper them this year, I think, a little bit. And they lost some guys in the portal. They lost Jamari Butler. They lost James Williams to Power 4 programs. They lost some depth at quarterback with the transfer of Daniel Kalen to Virginia. But at the same time, they did it. They did what they needed to do. They kept Dylan Raiola. They went out and got him some more playmakers on the outside, kind of like what Kansas State did. They needed more playmakers on the outside. They did that. Defensively, they keep a lot of guys defensively around, particularly in the linebacker and secondary levels. Well, I should say that, some young guys that played a lot last year in the second level, and then in the third level, a lot of experience back there. They could be really, really good in the secondary. But all those pieces have to come together. But Bill Connolly's final take on Nebraska, he said, Rule made Holgerson a full-timer, held on to Raiola, and used portal to add both a pair of former blue-chip linemen and maybe Kentucky's most exciting player. That'd be Dane Key, and he's talking about, of course, the linemen being Elijah Pritchett and Rocco Spindler. And obviously, losing Tony White hurts, but it definitely feels like the Huskers gained more than they lost. People are really high on Matt Rule and what he did here this offseason. Even though he lost some coaches and lost some pieces from his team last year, which did get to a bowl game for the first time since 2016, they feel people outside of the Nebraska bubble feel like Nebraska's done a lot, and they've put themselves in good position here to have a solid 2025 season. We'll see. But number 5, according to ESPN. If you want to the big team, the number 1 teams real quickly in this, number 1 for the Big 12, like I mentioned, was Texas Tech. Penn State is the big team. Penn State is the big team from the Big 10 at number 1 at this point in time. The ACC is Clemson. And then the SEC number 1 team was LSU. LSU went out and spent a ton of money. I mean, a ton of money in the portal this year. Ridiculous amounts of money. Bringing in pieces that they need to fix both sides of the ball for Brian Kelly. There's pressure on Brian Kelly to win this year at LSU and the Bayou. And they went out and spent the money to try and make sure that does happen. So interesting article there from ESPN looking at the offseason and ranking the teams with the college football or the regional college football teams this from their offseason. We'll see what it really doesn't matter a whole lot, honestly. It comes down to how your team gels here in fall camp. How it all breaks down during when you get into the schedule. Do you face a team that's really that's an okay team that's hot at the moment? It comes down to kind of how is a team better than you thought they were going to be. It's a harder time to judge that with the portal and the impact of young players anymore. So we'll see how it all shakes out. But judging by what we know through this point in time in the off season, pretty solid overall for the most part for regional college football teams. All right, let's get to a timeout. We'll be back. We'll have Riley Gates join us on the Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware Hotline from On3 Sports, our good friend with a sports smorgasbord. Going to talk all types of different things, including PGA Championship, second major of the year. Gets underway from Quail Hollow tomorrow. We'll visit about that next with him and much more. You're listening to the Morning Blitz here on a Wednesday.
Spring is in full swing at Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware. Get your lawn and garden looking their best with Ultimate Fertilizer and gear up with Eco blowers and mowers for the season ahead. Tackling a project, they've got a surplus of quality lumber ready for all your building needs. And when the work's done, fire up the fun with their wide selection of grills, smokers, and griddles from Traeger, Weber, and Blackstone. Stop by Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware in Goodland and Colby, your one-stop shop for spring projects, big and small.
It's time for a check of the markets with the Anderson Trade Group on the Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio Network.
Good morning. This is Kate Thompson with the Anderson Trade Group. Today is Wednesday, May 14th. On the overnight last night, July corn lower 2 1/4 at 4.40 1/4. September down 1 1/4 to 4.26. December down 2 cents at 4.39. March down 2 1/2 at 4.53 1/4. July soybeans up 2 1/2 on the overnight at 10.75. August up 3 cents at 10.73 1/4. September up 1 1/4 at 10.54. November being down 0.5 cents at 10.59. Chicago wheat July contract lower 3 3/4 on the overnight at 5.13 1/2. September down 3 3/4 at 5.28. December down 3 at 5.61. March soft wheat down 2 at 5.71 1/4. Kansas City wheat July contract lower 3 1/2 at 5.08 1/4. September down 3 1/4 at 5.23. December down 3 at 5.46 1/4. March hard wheat down 3 cents at 5.66 3/4. On the stock market this morning, the Dow up $41 at 42,267. The S&P up 11 at 5,915. The Nasdaq up 47 at 21,325. Gold over $58 an ounce at 3,189. Crude oil down 63 cents a barrel at $63.04. If you have any questions about marketing grain or would like to talk about risk management options, give our Colorado office a call, Jen Hankey or John Stiles at 970-744-4484, or in our Kansas City office, myself, Tom Splitter, Jared Law, Kaiser Ghosh at 913-748-3000.
The Anderson Trade Group, proud market partners with Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio. Find out more at andersongrain.com. The risk of loss through trading futures and or options is substantial, and each investor and or trader must consider whether this is a suitable investment. Past performance, whether actual or indicated, is not indicative of future results. The Anderson Trade Group has no guarantee that the advice given will result in profitable trades.
.37 Central, 7:37 Mountain Time. It's May the 14th. Sunny temperatures in the mid-50s to get our day going away to a high of 82. We'll get to the news of the day from yesterday coming up in our third segment with the news of Pete Rose getting reinstated. Heck, we'll get our good friend's opinion. Riley Gates joins us from On 3. Good morning, sir. How are we doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I am doing well, man. Always great to have you on for a sports smorgasbord is what I like to call it, because we're going to talk about lots of different things and prove that you know a lot more about sports than most of us. So that's why we have you on the program. So,
well, I mean, my Twitter replies would disagree with you, but I mean, whatever you say, I'll listen to.
It's all an opinion. It's all opinion based. What does anybody else? What does anybody know, including you? So, first and foremost, what are your thoughts on the biggest news yesterday of Major League Baseball? And Pete Rose and Shoeless Joe and all those guys getting eligible, or they are able to be voted on now. It's ineligible for the Hall of Fame, no longer been banned.
I mean, I think it's the right move. I understand that like years ago, Pete Rose, the whole gambling scandal, and I get all that. But for me, it was like he never intentionally tanked games. So I mean, like that's what has been proven. He was betting on his team, not against his team. So like that's. I mean, I know it's not, it isn't different. Gambling's gambling, but like if he was throwing games, that'd be one thing. And he wasn't doing that. And B, I think it's a little hypocritical to have, the Royals are playing on FanDuel Sports TV, and here we are holding a guy for gambling. It's a little much for me. Now, that being said, I think it's pretty ridiculous that it took this long until Pete Rose is dead and no longer around to see his name be put in the Hall of Fame. Pretty sad, honestly. I think it's a shame, and I think it's something he should have gotten the ability to experience when he was alive. That being said, I don't think he's ever going to get in. We're still sitting here with Barry Bonds out. All the sports writers that are holding a grudge against something that really, in my opinion, isn't that big of a deal, are going to keep Barry Bonds out. So I don't really see that they'll ever put Pete Rose in. So I'm happy he has the ability. I'm sad that he won't get to see himself be put in, and I'm a little questionable if he ever will be.
I mean, I think the biggest thing here is that this does not make sure that he is going to get in the Hall, for example. But I mean, it allows other people that are the decision makers to get to judge that, I guess. And we'll see if with that comes to fruition or not. I guess we'll find out more. But Riley Gates, our guest from On 3 Sports, joining us here on the Morning Blitz. I want to switch over to hockey real quickly. I know you're big into postseason hockey right now with your Florida Panthers. How are you feeling about your Florida Panthers as they get closer and closer trying to play for a Stanley Cup?
A lot better than I was feeling 7 days ago. That's for sure. You go down 0-2 and you're looking really shaky. It was not very good, but they've bounced back. They're looking better. Sergei Bobrovsky is looking a lot better in the net. That's good. It looks like they're kind of getting they're getting back to their game a little bit, which is heavy defense, not necessarily trying to outscore teams, which is what I think the Maple Leafs here are kind of focused on. They're trying to score high, 3-4 goals a game, and that's just not the Panthers game. So I think they're getting back to themselves, but it's going to be really difficult. The travel up to Toronto is a lot. And that crowd up there is rowdy. You probably could argue it's the rowdiest hockey crowd in the league when their team's good. So I think it's going to be very difficult here, Game 5. But I think they're capable of winning this game because they got that confidence, like I said. And I think I don't want to say they're playing with house money because they're the defending champs and you always want to defend your championship. But the Leafs are in the situation where they were up 2-0 on the defending champs. This was the year, and now they need to worry about not blowing it. So I'm feeling a little good that maybe the pressure's on the Leafs more than it is on the Panthers now.
If you had to pick a team beside the Florida Panthers, who do you think is the favorite right now that are left of the teams to hoist Lord Stanley's Cup?
Oh, I think it's the Dallas Stars, and I don't think it's particularly close, honestly. I mean, I know the odds say that it's close, but I think the Stars are an incredible hockey team. I think they have one of the best goaltenders in the entire league in Jay Cottinger. I think he should be the goalie for the Olympics when that rolls around. I think he should have been the goalie in Four Nations this past year over Connor Hellebuck, but I think these playoffs are proving that Otter should be in there instead of Hellebuck. They've got that. They've got incredible scoring coming off now. I mean, Mikko Rantanen, obviously acquiring him was a huge move for the Stars, and now they're getting their defensemen back. So I think they are almost exactly like what the Panthers were last year when they won the Cup. They've got guys that can put it in the net. They've got a goalie who knows when to turn it on, and they just have depth. You're not going to win a Stanley Cup if you don't play defense. They do that well, and they got 3-4 lines that they can throw at you. So if I could take them, I mean, heck, honestly, if I was being forced to put more money on teams to win the Cup right now, I think I'd probably pick the Stars over the Panthers. Like, I just think the Stars are so good.
Well, we'll have to see. Still plenty of games to be played. Dallas winning yesterday up 3-1 over Winnipeg. And tonight, Riley's Florida Panthers take on Toronto in a series tied at 2 apiece in game number 5. So we'll see how it all shakes out. What were your thoughts and what were your reactions to in the NBA when the Mavericks get the number 1 pick after the season that was, trading Luka Doncic and all that was prior before that?
Can I, in the strongest way possible, rigged? I mean, I really believe it. Like, I know, like, people, my brother, my friends have been telling me I'm crazy. Like, how could you rig it? But, like, I just don't understand how you can look at the situation from 30,000 feet and not tell me that, like, there wasn't something going on. First off, the Luka trade made no sense in the first place. Like, it still to this day, you can't explain why the Mavericks did that. None of it made sense. They didn't get a good return on it. Like, it just didn't make any sense. Second off, you had this is the most desired number 1 overall pick since Zion Williamson and then possibly since Anthony Davis. Like, Cooper Flagg is going to be a star no matter where he goes. He's just that good of a basketball player. And the 3 teams that he was most likely to go to, the 14% in the lottery, Washington, now I'm blanking on the other 2, but I mean, there's all small teams, all teams that you don't want your star player, your big name going to. So you sit down, you're like, okay, well, maybe like, Toronto will jump up and win the lottery. Like, they got like 7% chance. Someone like that. Then you go all the way down to the top 4 picks and you get the Mavericks, you get the 76ers, and you get the Spurs, who just landed Victor Wembanyama last year. I mean, it's just, to me, everything says this was rigged from the start back in February. Hey, we need Luka Doncic playing in LA. We need a star with LeBron who can bring better ratings to one of our biggest markets. And that's what happened. And how were the Mavericks rewarded? They were rewarded with the number 1 pick and possibly the next generational star in the NBA. So look, I know that everybody out there says, like, you're crazy if you believe it was rigged. This is how they can prove it wasn't rigged. I don't buy it. It was 1.9% chance, and it's the most polarizing team to make a move this year in terms of trading or free agency. Nah, it's too good to believe for me.
Yeah, it definitely has got a funky smell around it. That is for sure. A very funky smell around it when it comes to that. Who do you like in the NBA playoffs at this point in time? I tell you what, the Knicks are really putting together an unbelievable run on the Eastern side, and boy, that Western Conference series between the Nuggets and the Thunder has been highly entertaining, to say the least.
Yeah, I was joking with my friends this morning. It's been the best NBA playoff series I've ever not seen, because all the games start at like 9:30, and I've gotten older and realized if I work at 7 a.m., I can't stay up till 12:30 watching a game. So I've hardly seen any of the series, but it's been incredible. Yeah, no, it's been awesome. I still think the West kind of has the favorites to win the championship. I think, given the field right now with Jason Tatum going down and Boston being down 3-1, I think you still would have to, like, gun to your head, say the Thunder are going to win the championship. They're just such a great team. Obviously now they have the lead on Denver, but I think that game, that series will probably go game 7. And then, you've got Nikola Jokic playing in a game 7. I mean, that's really tough to beat. And then I can't count out the Pacers. Like, I really can't. There's no reason that if you'd have told me they beat the Cavs, I'd say, okay, it was a long series. It went 6-7 games, and the Pacers got lucky in a few. But they just dominated the Cavaliers. Like, they looked like a great team. Yes, they're likely going to run into a buzzsaw on the Knicks, and that's going to be a terrific series too. Honestly, I don't think that there's a single team remaining in the field that I can't see winning the championship. People will probably count out the Wolves, but they've got an incredible star in Anthony Edwards. So, gun to my head, I'd say Thunder, but honestly, I think I think we've still got a lot of scenarios that can play out where you wouldn't be surprised by anybody winning.
Riley Gates, our guest on 3 Sports on the Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware Hotline. He joins us here on this Wednesday morning on a sports smorgasbord. The Pacer, question about Tyrese Halliburton. I asked this question to my listeners here a few days ago. Is he the most clutch player in the NBA right now? Because, boy, it sure feels like it.
I think he'd be tough to argue against it. I mean, he's just it's the definition of clutch. He's hitting big shots. He's showing up when it matters. And that's what you need out of your star players, your clutch players. So tell me how he's not the most clutch player. I think the proof's in the pudding. I think it's really that simple. And I wish I had like a longer, more elaborate answer, but I don't see how you can pick anybody else. He's talking the talk and he's walking the walk, and it's just really fun to watch him play. I remember him coming out of Iowa State, and I was just like, man, I really like him, but I just don't know that a lot of people are giving him the credit that he deserves. And it took him a little bit, but he's now become the star that I think we all kind of thought he had the potential to be.
Once again, Riley Gates continued to join us from On 3 Sports. We'll wrap it up on this, on the Sports Smorgasbord, Riley, on golf. PGA Championship, second major of the year coming up here this weekend at Quill Hollow. It's been pretty wet from what we've seen over there through the practice rounds, a lot of rain. How do you feel like the PGA Champion? What is the biggest storyline going into the PGA Championship in your opinion? I mean, it could have been Rory, and it probably still could be, I guess, but him getting that Grand Slam and getting that green jacket just took a big weight off of his shoulders. So what's the big storyline of the PGA Championship in your opinion this year?
I think the biggest storyline is, can Scotty show up? And I mean, that sounds bad, not to say that he hasn't been good or that he's been absent, but I just don't feel like we've really seen Scotty be Scotty in the big fields. Like, I know he won last week or 2 weeks ago, whatever, but that field was, he was minus 150 to win it at like 3 p.m. on Thursday. So that field was kind of a joke. I think all eyes are on him to see, can he make a run at it? But obviously the conversation this week is about how easy this golf course is, how it's a bomber's paradise. Just hit the ball far off the tee, keep it straight, and you're going to be good. So that favors a Bryson DeChambeau. It favors a Rory McIlroy. To an extent, it favors a Justin Thomas, who's hitting the driver really well right now. And obviously, one thing that I think a lot of people are kind of overlooking right now is Jordan Spieth, who has playing his best golf in probably 5 years, and B, he has a great history here at Quail Hollow. I think I read yesterday he was 5-0-0 or something like that in his Ryder Cup matches the last time he was here. I think that was in that newsletter I read. So I think it could be an interesting week to see if he can make a run at it. But I think it's good for golf that we're having this major championship. I know it's not necessarily the question you just asked, but I think it's good that we're having this major championship this week and that they changed it however many years ago, because this is not a super exciting major. I mean, majors are majors. They matter. But it's just not the importance. It's just not the intrigue of the Masters, the U.S. Open, the Open Championship. And so I think putting it here after the Masters with still 2 more super exciting majors to go, I think it really hypes it up and makes PGA Championship a lot bigger than maybe we would have ever expected.
I feel like it's honestly a little bit more exciting because I feel like even though this has kind of been the case for many years now where you just don't know who could win it, but it really feels like you got a lot of golfers, guys that you know, that are playing really good golf. Like, whether it's Scotty or Rory or Justin Thomas, who has 6 top 10 finishes here in 2025, and the other guys. I mean, there's so many different guys that are playing really good right now. DeChambeau, like you mentioned, because of his ability to hit the long ball. I mean, there's just so many different guys. I don't know how Vegas handicaps an event like this, because I feel like it'd be impossible.
Well, and especially in this year where you've got Rory McIlroy, Justin Thomas, Scotty Scheffler, all not only playing good, but they're all winning. Like, this is one of the best PGA seasons we've seen in a very long time. The big names are winning golf tournaments, and that's what fans want. That's what golf has needed ever since LIV came along, honestly. So, like, this is great for golf, and yeah, it's very difficult. I think you can definitely get some good value on some guys in the field this year if you're into that kind of thing, because it's so hard to pick when everybody's playing well. I've yet to make my official picks, but I think, like I said, I think there's some really good value out there.
Do you have a favorite in your mind as you sit here right now on this Wednesday? You still got time to change your mind, but where do you sit right now?
It's really tough for me to pick against Bryson with, like I said, that Bomber's Paradise mindset, swing away and just put the ball in the green. So he's probably going to be in the mix for me. He'll probably be one of my picks. Also, one guy that I've pledged to pick at every single major until he wins one is Ludwig Åberg. Like, he's just so good, and he's always going to be there. He's always so smart on a golf course. And, whenever I hit one with him at a major, like, I might still be down net, but for that one day, it'll feel really good.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. He is Riley Gates of On3 Sports with our Sports Smorgasbord here on this Wednesday. Riley, thank you so much. Your versatility showed immensely today, so thank you so much.
Anytime. Happy to help.
All right, buddy. Have a good one. We'll talk later.
You too.
Well, that's good. Great stuff there from Riley Gates here on On3 Sports, talking all different types of topics, anything from the NHL to the PGA Championship. All right, we got about 7-8 minutes to go here on our Wednesday show. We'll take a break, come back, and hit up a couple things real quickly when it comes to the NBA playoffs last night and the Nuggets losing, and we'll also get to some quick thoughts on Pete Rose and all that stuff. We'll wrap the show with that. And, of course, in the walk-off, a very interesting basketball stat from the Big 12. Next in the Morning Blitz.
Looking for insurance that actually puts you first? At the insurance agency in downtown Goodland, we're independent, which means we work for you. Whether it's auto, home, crop, or business, we shop top carriers to get you the best coverage at the best price. No pushy sales, just honest advice from people who live right here in your community. Give us a call today at 785-899-5011 or stop by 1020 Main in Goodland, and let's get you covered. The Insurance Agency. Insurance the way it should be.
If you're shopping for a banking institution, visit with Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, and Quinter, Kansas. The Equity Bank is heavily invested in local business and activities contributing in many ways back to their community. Their employees are involved with many organizations and area events. Plus, a lot of experience comes with that staff. You'll find valuable local assistance when you bank at the Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, Quinter, and other locations in Western Kansas. The Equity Bank, member FDIC.
At FNB Bank, we know family comes first. Whether you're opening a savings account for your kids, buying a new home, or planning for the future, we're here to help every step of the way. With personalized service and flexible options, we make banking easy for your growing family. FNB Bank, serving families, strengthening communities. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Big savings are waiting at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. Get a 25 Chevy Silverado 1500 with 0.9% APR for 60 months plus $3,500 trade-in cash. Or choose a 25 GMC Sierra 1500 Turbo Max, 0.9% APR, or up to over $7,800 off if you own a GMC or Buick. And don't forget, military members get an extra $750 cash allowance. It's happening now at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. Online at hurlchev.com.
You're listening to the Morning Blitz.
How about sports? You follow sports?
With Ross Volkmer.
Real quick before we get into the final topic of Pete Rose here and just the quick thoughts on that. If you want better, more complete thoughts, you can tune into your local ESPN or Fox Sports, and they'll be talking about that all day. Last night in the playoffs, Nuggets fall behind 3-2 in the series to the Thunder. They lose 112-105. Denver led throughout the game until the fourth quarter when they faltered, got outscored 34-19 in the fourth. And just my thought on this here. I mean, Jokic goes out there, has 44 and 15, and Jamal Murray has 28 and 4. And then 13 points from Aaron Gordon, which is nothing in the NBA. That's like scoring 5 in a high school basketball game or college basketball game. They don't have any other production. They need more production from other players. They need more. And watching, and I know this is the NBA style, I get it, but watching the Nuggets last night, and it's a two-man game between Murray and Jokic out beyond the 3-point line. And it's ridiculous. They have to find a way to be better, either in transition or something. They need more production from other players. They need more from Westbrook. They need Michael Porter to not go out there and go 0 for 5 from 3 when that's what you get paid to do is make threes. They need more production from other guys. You look at the Thunder, they had 6 guys in double figures. More balanced scoring attack led by 31 points from SGA. Have to be better. If the Nuggets are going to win this series, down 3-2, goes back to Denver with their backs against the wall. I think it could go 7. If they're going to win this series, they need more from other guys. They're getting what they can out of the Joker, and Murray's doing his part from time to time. They need more from other guys. They need them to step up their games and be better, offensively and defensively. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. So tonight you've got possibly the Knicks advancing over Boston if they can pick up a win tonight, in the Garden. And then you've got Golden State, Minnesota, with that series being at 3-1. Minnesota could possibly close out that series as well. Quickly in baseball yesterday, both losses for the Royals and the Rockies. Royals fall 2-1 to the Astros, a walk-off home run by Isaac Paredes off of John Schreiber. So that evens up the series at a game apiece. Offense was very much lacking for the Royals, which it has most of the season. Casey has dropped 3 of their last 4. Pitching has still been fantastic. They're just not getting enough offensive production. They either need Jack Caglione up there, or the trade deadline is coming up and they got to do something more. They got to do something to bolster that roster, and not signing a 45-year-old pitcher in Rich Hill, I don't think is the answer, but that's what they did yesterday. We'll see. But game 3 tonight in that rubber match, AM 790 KXXX at 7:10 Central Time. And the Rockies, they lose their second straight game. Interim manager Warren Schaefer 4-1 to the Rangers. Josh Young homered twice for Texas, had a 3-run shot in the first off Kyle Freeland. Freeland gave up that bomb and then settled in and was great. But the offense was nothing. Only Hunter Goodman with a lone run driven in as Texas rookie Jack Leiter, great pitcher from Vanderbilt, held the Rockies to just 2 hits. So that series wraps up today, 6:05 Mountain Time at AM 730 KLOE. And before we get to the walk-off, just real quickly on Pete Rose, I don't have much more to add on it than what we heard from Riley Gates, but I do think there's one thing. They were not going to let Pete Rose get into the hall while he was alive. They were not going to let that happen. MLB, they probably thought, you know what, when he's dead, we will. And one of the biggest reasons why is they did not want him going up there to the microphone for his acceptance speech into the Hall of Fame and going up there and bashing MLB and all that stuff. He was going to make a bad look. He was going to have a bad look for Major League Baseball. So they were not going to allow him in no matter what they tried to do. And so now that he's dead, I'm not surprised that this all went down. Of course, with the nudge of the president, it feels like. So, yeah, they were not going to let him in, not because he probably wasn't good enough, but because he was going to get up there and say some things, and Major League Baseball did not want to hear it. I honestly believe that was probably the biggest reason why he's in there. why he's now eligible to be voted on. So we'll see. But I don't know. I don't know if he'll make it or not. Now it's in the hands of the voters. Baseball is not holding anybody back from voting for him. Now that you can vote if you want, we'll see if anybody wants to put him in the hall after he has passed. All right. With that, we get into the walk-off.
And back lifts his ball high and deep to right. How about a walk-off Gray? Thomas to the 10. Denver's going on the New England. They win it on the first play of overtime. Mahomes flings it. It's there. Hardman. Jackpot. Kansas City.
Tonight, the NFL schedule is fully released. We get to see these great videos on social media about the schedule release. Always interesting. We'll try to have our good friend Nick Athen on tomorrow to get his thoughts on the NFL schedule release. So it'll be interesting to see that. As we close up the show here, I want to get to two stats I saw regarding Big 12 basketball. And, of course, this era of everybody leaving and free player movement, all that stuff. In the Big 12 conference, only one team, as we look ahead to 25-26, only one team in the Big 12 is returning 50% of its minutes from last season. That's the most, 50%. Only one team in the Big 12 is returning 50% of its minutes from last season in the Big 12. No team returns 50% of its scoring from last season. So if you think about the Big 12, no one is returning more than 50% of their minutes, and no one is returning and everyone is returning less than 50% of its scoring from last year. That's unbelievable. There's no continuity in college basketball anymore. Every year is a brand new slate. It's a clean slate. That could be good. That could be bad, but every year is a clean slate. Iowa State, by the way, leads in both categories in returning points and minutes from last year. Everywhere else, complete. Look at it. Look at it from Kansas' perspective. Look at it from Kansas State's perspective. Everyone is starting over, and it's like this every single year. And like I said, it could be good, and it could be bad. All right, that'll do it for our program today. Thank you so much for everybody listening. Thanks to Riley Gates for tuning in as well and being our sports smorgasbord expert. We're back again tomorrow on a Thursday. Hope you join us then. It has been the Morning Blitz. See you.
This is where classic rock legends take flight. Rocket 102.5. KKCI Goodland.